All right, Capricorn, thanks for tuning in to your November of 2014 horoscope. My name is Athen. All right, so the big emphasis this month is on you guys. Actually, your ruler, Saturn, is changing signs. He's going from Libra into Scorpio, which is from your 10th house into your 11th house. So you Capricorns, over the past 2.5 years, you've had the ability to put in a lot of productive energy, a lot of perhaps assuming extra responsibility, you might say, in your work, and making changes there, and structuring that, and really, for a lot of you, coming to a time of culmination in your work, actually. So, but it's 10th house, so it's not just work, it's also anything you do in the public or anything that's of service to others, not just for monetary exchange, but it could be. It's usually associated with that if you are in a job or career. So anyways, the past 2.5 years, this is actually, a place now he's going into, which is your 11th house, which is still strongly associated with, the big picture, the, what would you say, public in some way, but the 11th house has more to do with our ideals, and so it's the more idealistic side of that. It is also of being of service, but it's being of service in a way where it's not necessarily for that monetary exchange. It's more about just being a part of the community and helping out in the collective. So for the next 2.5 years, you guys are going to be playing a very big role in the collective, actually, on the day-to-day level, perhaps through the work or whatever it is that you're doing. But it's a very grounded perspective, of course, which is what you guys are all about, what you have to offer. So with this placement, it's highly recommended over the next 2.5 years, get involved in groups, get involved in the community stuff, or, bring more, selflessness, into your work, in the sense that, start doing things that are more charitable in nature, just being of service and not necessarily expecting anything back, because the 11th house is the ideals. It's ruled by Aquarius, and it's really just doing your role in society, in the big picture on Earth, which is essentially our biggest arena, you might say, or in the universe, however you see that. So playing your role and doing your part without expecting anything back is the general gist of the 11th house. 11th house is our higher self. It's very unearthly side of ourselves, in the sense that, again, we do things not necessarily for us. It's for the higher good, for the higher purpose. So very strong emphasis there now. Lots of work that can be done here. This is also the house of money through career and through finances. So for a lot of you who've grown your business over the past 2.5 years, or your career, or advancing, or promotions, or whatever that is, for the next 2.5 years will be a time of structuring the income that you get from that. So a good time to use that Saturn disciplined approach and pragmatism to the income from whatever you're doing in terms of the career, big picture, public service stuff. So great time, actually. Your planet, your ruler changing signs is always a good shift, and there's a shift in consciousness, there's a new energies, things are feeling a little bit fresh. Now what's interesting is this normally wouldn't have much of a personal impact right off the gates whenever Saturn transits, because it takes some time for these slow planets to transition, and we don't really just notice them overnight. But it just so happens that this month the Sun, Venus, and Mercury, who are always orbiting next to each other, in the sky, they're going into the 11th house right around the same time, very early to mid-time this month. So that's actually very interesting and not common at all. So what that's telling me is that there's a personal emphasis and a personal shift. And I think, with Venus leading the way, because she's the first one to make her way into the 11th house, it's really saying that you guys, all of us are ready for a shift. We're wanting some change in that Saturn area. And for you guys, I think it's really wanting to be more idealistic, or doing that 11th house stuff. Maybe it's group stuff, maybe wanting to get involved and do that. But the point is that there's enjoyment to be had here. And when Venus leads, it's usually because you want to. That's the psychological sort of interpretation of this. So enjoy it. Use this month to really enjoy the group stuff, the collective stuff, all that stuff I talked about, and connect with others. There's a lot of people you can meet in those spheres, especially with groups and stuff. Online even, 11th house is online, so a lot of you might be, heavily involved in online work or something of that nature over the next couple of years. So, but this month is a catalyst to it. Whatever we're doing now, this month is starting off, that energy for the next 2 years, really. And this is also emphasized by the fact that later on in the month, on the 22nd, we have a new moon taking place in that 11th. So One by one, the planets are going in there. First, it's the enjoyment. Then it's the sun, which is about our expression and creativity. A lot of creativity in that group, collective stuff. And then Mercury there, thinking about it, and he'll be there for the bulk of, he'll be there towards the end of the month, actually. But in either case, new beginnings. So as these planets go in there, at the end of the month, there's something fresh, something new that starts from this area. Perhaps it's a new ideal. Or perhaps it's a new group project or something new in the internet or a new website or something of that nature. And I feel like it's strongly associated to what you're going to be building and working on for the next couple of years. So very big stuff, very important, especially it being your ruler. Now let's talk about a very important conjunction taking place this month. On the 10th, we have Mars conjuncting up to Pluto, and this only happens once every 2.5 years. So this is significant in the sense that Mars, and when these two planets come together, there's a tremendous amount of energy. It's like energetic, it's like an intense energy, and so it needs to be channeled. It needs to be put into a certain place. And for you, it's happening in your 12th house in Sagittarius. So these two planets are coming together in your house of psyche, spirituality, behind the scenes activity. So normally you wouldn't, normally they seem antithetic, the 12th house and Mars and energy and spirituality. But what this really means is essentially it's like it reminds me of like a samurai, because samurais are warriors, but they're spiritual, like a spiritual warrior. So you have that energy. You've had that energy last month in October as well too. But now there's a tremendous amount of it the closer Mars gets to Pluto, especially around the 10th. So channel that energy, and however you do that, whether it's through the meditation, whether it's through dream space, utilize the strong Mars-Pluto energy, and you can really channel it into whatever you like. If you find that there's excess energy, if you're having a hard time sleeping, then maybe some athletics or some working out needs to be done to burn off some of that. But the best place to channel it is really through your work or something creative and something productive. So I would suggest, in terms of the work and the creativity, bring more presence, bring more of the spiritual essence, surrender, 12th house stuff. Psychology is also part of this. Anything behind the scenes, bring that stuff into your work, and that's going to then create a nice channel for that, and it could be, the intuition you get from your dreams and putting that into your work or something of that nature. Of course, this is general, so it's different for everybody. But it's in that 12th, and Mars also rules that 11th house. So for you guys, it rules Scorpio. So that the 11th house ruler is going over Pluto. So whatever it is you guys are doing in that 11th house this month, around the 10th, channel that energy into it, certainly, with Mars and Pluto, and restructuring too. It seems like there's some restructuring that needs to take place there. Perhaps your orientation on the community, on the collective of that nature. Release a lot of old ideas and baggage that's no longer serving you in that area. And that's going to create a lot of new abundance for you. The more we clear, the more is available to come to us. So that's emphasized as well. Now Mars also rules your guys' 4th house. So a lot of you might be doing some restructuring around the home or with family or something like that. So you can channel that energy into that as well. Home, family, and also the emotional. 4th house is the inner temple. So maybe some inner work or something like that emphasized. Now, let's see. Now on the 6th, we have a full moon taking place in that 4th house. So home is actually culminating. Home, family, past, roots, basically, is culminating for you guys. So some of you might change locations. Some of you might be freshening up the house, maybe remodeling, something of that nature. Maybe connecting with family, connecting to your past in some way, past lives, soulmates, this sort of thing. Around the 6th, there's a lot of energy here in that sector. So maybe it's not manifesting externally, maybe it's internal, which is great because that's your 4th house. So there's emotional abundance here. So really tap into that emotional energy too, and drive. So, because it's, it's Aries. So there's that drive, and then again, channeling that into your work. The first part of this month is very energetic. The full moon with the conjunction, and then all these planets conjuncting Saturn. So tap into it. It can be very productive. And then as the month progresses, really just pay attention, really listen. Listen to those insights that you gain from the full moon. And then in the new moon, there will be something new, a new something or other in that 11th house. Now, we have a station direct of Neptune and Chiron this month. Neptune's going direct on the 16th, Chiron on the 23rd, and this is happening in your guys' second house. So if there's been a little bit of a holdup in the resource, finance, value, your sense of value area over the past 5 months or so, a little bit of insecurity there maybe perhaps with Chiron there, what your worth, what your self-worth is all about. Just know that that's going direct now this month, so those energies start to ease up and they'll start to flow, and you'll probably, whatever shifts happen this month, you'll feel healed from it. I feel, especially by the end of this month in terms of that. And so work with those energies, and remember to just go with the flow with the finances, because Neptune in your second house, and go with the flow with what your value is, and remember that to have faith in what you value, and know that when you have faith you will get what you value, and it just requires that maintaining that trust in the universe. All right, guys, so I'm gonna draw a card and see where Spirit would like some guidance. Okay, Leo. Well, Leo is all about self-expression and fun and enjoyment, and this is your guys' your 8th house. And there's actually been a lot of readings this month with 8th house rulers for some reason. So a source and my higher guidance is really wanting me to, I think, emphasize the 8th house. The 8th house is about transformation, and it's about growth and changes. And so I feel that, especially with Mars going over Pluto and these eclipses that happened last month, there's a new beginning. There's lots of changes, and the changes may continue through November, because they often do with those eclipses. So but for you, the changes is all for you to grow. It's for you to let that inner light shine and to express yourself, because that's what Leo's all about. Leo's the entertainer. Leo likes to be seen. So it's like expressing yourself and putting yourself out there helps you restructure and helps you change and transform into a new person. So let your light shine. Let people know who you are, and through that will be positive changes in your growth this month, I really feel. All right, Capricorn. Well, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.